Hello, and welcome to Boarding All Captains, the Study Abroad Office's official podcast. On this week's episode, I have both MC and Kelsey joining me. Thank you so much for coming on this week's episode.
Thanks for having us.
So to get started, can you tell me a little bit about the program that which program did you go on?
Yeah, so we went to John Cabot in Rome for 6 weeks this past summer.
Awesome. And then what involvements are you guys involved with on campus?
Well, I'm MC. I'm involved with FIMU and PLP and just some stuff like that. But yeah, I'm a psychology major and a biology and leadership minor.
And then I'm Kelsey. I'm a double major in math and communication studies with a minor in leadership studies. I'm involved in FIMU and then PLP and honors as well.
Great. And so then you guys both went to Italy this past summer. Mm-hmm. So what kind of classes did you take there?
Yeah, so I took intercultural communications, which is a comm elective, and fulfilled one of those credits for me.
Awesome. What about you?
I took developmental psychology, which fulfilled one of my core curriculum credits. Yeah.
Awesome. And so going off of that, were you mainly in Italy, or were there any other cities or countries you got the chance to travel to?
Well, so we actually had the opportunity to travel to multiple different places every weekend. You get Fridays off, so it was really easy to travel and go places, stay for a couple nights. So we went to Florence, Cinque Terre, we went to the Amalfi Coast.
Oh, nice.
We went to the south of France, so that was one of our personal favorites. And yeah, am I forgetting one?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and you guys were friends going into the trip as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice. What motivated both of you guys to end up wanting to study abroad?
Mm-hmm. I had always wanted to study abroad coming into college. I'd originally wanted to go for a semester, and then things with COVID just didn't work out for me to be able to go for a semester. And so when I switched to summer, I had kind of started asking MC to come with me, and then we both kind of pushed each other to want to go and actually follow through with it.
Yeah. And so did you guys meet anybody else that you ended up being friends with there, or how did you go about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we actually, the way that it's set up, we had 9 people in one apartment.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, but it kind of made it easier to meet people and to kind of branch out within different groups and that sort of thing. But the 4 girls that were living with us ended up being really good friends, and we went on some trips and stuff with them, and they went to Marquette University, so it was kind of cool, having them be from a different place, different state.
Very cool. And have you maintained any of those friendships now being back at CNU?
Yeah, so we actually still text them on a regular basis. We're planning to meet up with them this summer, so we were kind of able to keep the friendships going, which has definitely been one of our favorite parts coming away.
That's awesome. So with that, did you feel there was any language barriers while you were there, or did a lot of the people at John Cabot speak English?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were some people in my classes, because it's both people who live in Italy and it's also study abroad students that are involved. So there was a little bit of a language barrier, but most of them speak really good English, so that was not really an issue.
Yeah.
And most of the people that were studying abroad were from the United States. So
very cool. Well, so was there any cultural exchanges or things like that left a lasting impression on you all?
Yeah, so one of our favorite stories is we lived 20 minutes from campus, so we were a little farther off, and so every morning on our walk to campus for class, we would always stop at one specific coffee shop. It kind of looked like a gas station, so we called it the gas station. We don't know what the actual name was, but one of the workers, he didn't speak any English, but we were able to kind of form a really unique bond, I would say. We learned that his name was Giovanni, but that's all that we knew about him. But every day he would put 2 cookies in our coffee and give us a little hand squeeze as we were going, and so he was definitely a cultural exchange where we couldn't actually communicate, but we were still able to form a really special bond with him.
That's so sweet. I love that.
We had to Google Translate on our last weekend to let him know that we were leaving because we were studying abroad.
Yeah, I love that. That's so sweet. What's your go-to coffee order?
It was a cappuccino pretty much every day.
Every day.
Nice. So how do you feel classes differed at all while you were there compared to at CNU, or?
I feel just it being a summer course in general, we were in class every day from 9 to 11, so that was kind of an adjustment within itself. I would say, like, the biggest struggle was my professor was originally from London, and so I think just not having... He just had, like, a very different way of approaching, I think, academics, and was a little bit more critical and, like, outright just kind of said what he was thinking, which was my hardest adjustment with transitioning to those academics.
Okay, yeah.
My class was pretty good. She was from Italy, like, spoke really good English. She also had a little bit of a different way of teaching, like, her teaching style. But it was very... she was very open to new suggestions and things like that, and, like, was willing to help. So it was pretty good. It was just obviously different because it was in a different country.
Yeah. Did you like, besides the coffee house, was there any, like, go-to restaurants or favorite cuisines that you were able to try while there?
Yeah, so we tried a little bit of everything, but I think one of the most underrated things that we really liked was their sandwiches. Like, everyone talks about, like, the pizza and the pasta and all that stuff, but their sandwiches were so good. So good. And, like, our favorite one was probably from, honestly, a grocery store that we had, like, underneath our apartment. Like, something about it was just so good. Yeah.
What, like, makes the sandwiches different? Like, are they normally, like, pastrami and, like, meat, or, like, what did you guys get?
Pretty much, like, anything you want. Like, they would have, like, just everything fresh laid out for you to see, and then you could kind of, like, point. If they didn't speak great English, like, you could kind of point and, like, let them know what you wanted.
Very cool.
I would say the main difference is, like, the bread and the cheese.
Yeah.
They're just...
high quality.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So what were your meal, like, did you have like, any eating on campus at John Cabot, or was it mostly, like, takeout, or did you cook it all in your apartment?
They offered a meal plan. We didn't do a meal plan just because we were there for such a short time.
Yeah.
So the way that we normally did it is we would go grocery shopping kind of on Sunday, and we would get, like, one meal a day that we would eat at the apartment, and then one meal that we would normally eat out, and kind of do it that way.
Experience the culture and everything. Yeah. You said that your classes were about 9 to 11, so that gives you kind of a good amount of time. You're not there for a job. So what kind of did you do for that free time day to day?
I would say we did a lot, especially in our first couple of weeks, of just seeing Rome. I think that was, like, one of the best parts of studying abroad in Rome, is it's so big that we got to kind of, like, see everything after class instead of, like, trying to do a weekend trip. So we went to, obviously, the Coliseum one day, and then we would buy tickets for other things. Like, there's a castle that we went to go see and tour around, and a lot of it was honestly, like, tours. Like, we would just walk around and kind of, like, if we were curious about the history of some places.
Stumble upon things.
Yeah, exploring. That's definitely a nature of the big part of going abroad. Was there a favorite excursion you got to go on?
So our favorite excursion was probably when we actually went to France. We went to Nice and we did Monte Carlo for a day.
Oh, nice.
And so we got to do a day of, like, exploring and sightseeing and the beach, and it was honestly so beautiful and probably our favorite place that we traveled to.
Yeah. How far was that from you guys? Like, did you have to train there or?
We flew. By train, it was about 10 hours.
Yeah.
By plane, it was like an hour and a half, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's
not
worth
bad.
it. Yeah, definitely. And a lot of those, like, flights are not crazy expensive because they're so short. Yeah.
It was pretty easy and pretty affordable to, like, get around places. Everything else was a train, but that was our plane flight.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you felt like you missed about the USA, like, being abroad for the summer?
So the two things that we would constantly talk about were, one, iced coffee. They don't have iced coffee in Italy. And so hot coffee every day got a little old.
Especially in the summer.
In the summer. And then our apartment also did not have air conditioning.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing that we very much missed.
Yes, definitely. Especially 9 people in that apartment.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Were you guys sharing a room, like, with more than one person, or?
Yeah, there were 2 3-persons, 1 2-person, and then there was 1 single.
Okay.
So it was like you had to pay more for the single too.
Yeah.
But we were in a triple.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you clearly got close with a lot of those people, so that's fun. Well, was there, like, going abroad, you know, a lot of people talk about, like, independence that you can gain, but for you guys, what is some personal growth or things that you've noticed that, like, you've changed a little bit being back in the United States after traveling?
Well, I honestly wasn't expecting a lot of personal growth because I, like, used to live, like, overseas and that sort of thing. But going by yourself, like, especially going with, like, a friend, like, is such a different experience because we kind of had to learn how to, like, feed off of each other and kind of, like, help each other and that sort of thing. And you're also learning how to help yourself, like, especially stuff like the public transportation system. Like, it's hard to figure that thing out when you know nothing going into it. And, like, we did a little bit of research, but it was, like, you have to do trial and error. Like, it's one of those things. So that was a lot of personal growth.
Oh, trust me, I've gotten on the wrong metro, and I'm like, I'm going the opposite direction.
This is awkward.
Yeah. I would say, too, like, just a sense of confidence, I think, in kind of knowing and, like, trusting yourself to make decisions that can only come from kind of being in a foreign country by yourself.
Yeah. Was there any advice or, like, tips for people planning their study abroad trips or even people considering John Cabot that you guys had to offer?
I would say give yourself some grace. When you first get there, you feel like you're maybe doing something wrong or, like, you should have, like, taken a different approach, but it's all, like, for a reason, and it's obviously, like, you're supposed to be there to have a good time and that sort of thing, and just changing your mindset is, like, a really big one because it is hard when you first get to a different country, but, like, if you learn to embrace it and kind of go with the flow, then it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's, like, the biggest advice is just embrace it. Like, you're only going to be 20 and in college once abroad. Like, kind of do everything you can, travel, make the friends, and just really embrace being in another culture.
Yeah, definitely. To kind of wrap things up, do you guys feel that, obviously you've spoken on your personal growth, but you're getting ready to graduate, go into the real world. What are kind of the skills or things that you feel like you've gained that's going to help you, like, now that you've left college? Or about to leave college?
Yeah, so I'm moving to a completely different city where I actually don't know anyone after graduation. And so kind of even just going abroad when I only knew one person, but still, like, being in a completely different culture, a city away from my family. So I feel like that's kind of one thing is, like, learning the confidence, like, and also just I learned how to give myself grace once. Like, I'm going to be able to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Where are you moving?
Boston.
Okay, super fun. Good city. Love it. What about you, MC?
I would say, like, definitely a sense of independence. Like, I thought that I was an independent person before we went, but then, like, you come back and you realize that, like, you really know how to do stuff on your own. And, like, if you're thrown into a situation like a job in Boston or that sort of thing, like, you're going to be okay and you're going to be able to adjust and adapt even if it's really hard at first.
Awesome. Well, thank you both, Kelsey and MC, for joining me on Boarding All Captains.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.